The man's name was Ethan. There was nothing special about where he was born. No rich family. No powerful connections. No early advantages. Ethan grew up in a small, quiet town where opportunities were rare. His family lived in a tiny house with old furniture and weak lights. Sometimes even basic things felt difficult to get. From a young age, Ethan learned one painful truth. Life was not fair. While other children talked about big dreams, Ethan worried about simple things: food, school supplies, and helping his parents. His father worked long hours but earned little. His mother tried her best, but money was always short. People around him did not expect much. Teachers said he was average. Neighbors said he would probably live a normal, simple life. No one imagined success for him. Ethan listened to these words quietly. At night, he lay on his bed and stared at the ceiling. He did not dream of becoming famous or rich overnight. Instead, he asked himself one question again and again. How can I move forward, even if it's just one small step? After finishing school, Ethan did not go to college. He could not afford it. He started working simple jobs, cleaning, carrying boxes, helping in small shops. The work was tiring and repetitive. Some days, he felt invisible. People walked past him without noticing. No praise, no encouragement. Still, Ethan did not complain. He believed that patience was power. While others waited for luck, Ethan focused on effort. He saved small amounts of money. He learned small skills. He watched, listened, and observed people who were doing better than him. Every night, he wrote short notes in an old notebook. What he learned, what he failed at, what he could improve tomorrow. Progress was slow, almost invisible, but Ethan trusted one idea deeply. Small steps, taken daily, could change everything. He had nothing to start with, but he had time, patience, and determination. And that was enough. Ethan's days followed the same routine. Wake up early, work long hours, return home tired. Nothing about his life looked inspiring. He worked in a small warehouse, carrying heavy boxes from morning until evening. The pay was low, and the work was exhausting. Some coworkers complained every day. Others quit after a few weeks. Ethan stayed, not because he loved the job, but because he understood something important. Stability was the first step forward. After work, instead of resting, Ethan used his evenings wisely. He borrowed books from a small public library, books about money, habits, and self-improvement. He did not understand everything at first. Some words were difficult. Some ideas felt too big. But he read slowly, page by page, idea by idea. He also started learning practical skills. On his phone, he watched free lessons about basic computer skills, writing, and simple business ideas. Sometimes he felt overwhelmed. Sometimes he felt stupid. Still, he continued. Most people around him did not notice any change. To them, Ethan was the same poor worker with the same routine. They did not see his late nights or his quiet effort. Even his family worried. They asked, "Why are you working so hard? Nothing is changing." Ethan smiled politely but said nothing. Inside, he knew the truth. Real change takes time. He began saving a very small amount of money each month. It was not much, but it was consistent. This made him feel in control for the first time in his life. Failure still came. Some skills were useless. Some plans did not work. Some nights he felt hopeless. But Ethan learned a powerful lesson. Progress does not need applause. It only needs consistency. While others waited for a big opportunity, Ethan was quietly building himself, one invisible step at a time. And slowly, something inside him began to change. Nothing big happened suddenly in Ethan's life. No dramatic moment. No lucky break. The first opportunity came quietly. One evening at work, Ethan noticed a problem in the warehouse system. Boxes were often lost or placed in the wrong area. This caused delays and anger from customers. Most workers ignored it. "It's not our job," they said. But Ethan had been learning. He had watched videos about organization and simple systems. He thought carefully and created a small plan to improve the process. He wrote his idea on paper. The next day, he showed it to his supervisor. His hands were shaking. He expected rejection. The supervisor looked surprised. The idea was simple but effective. They tested it for 1 week. Slowly, mistakes reduced. Work became smoother. For the first time, Ethan felt seen. He did not get a promotion or extra money, but he received something more valuable: trust. His supervisor started giving him small responsibilities. Nothing big, but meaningful. Ethan worked even harder. He arrived earlier. Not everyone was happy. Some coworkers felt uncomfortable. They said Ethan was trying too hard. They laughed at him. They warned him not to expect too much. Ethan listened, but he did not stop. He understood something important. Growth often makes others uncomfortable. Outside of work, he continued learning. He focused on communication, planning, and patience. He stopped dreaming about fast success. He focused on becoming useful. There were still days of doubt. Some nights, Ethan questioned himself. Was this enough? Was he wasting his time? But every morning, he returned to work with quiet determination. He knew he was not special. He was not talented. He was not lucky. But he was consistent. And consistency was starting to open doors, slowly, quietly, but surely. After his small success at work, Ethan felt motivated. But life did not suddenly become easier. Days still felt long. Money was still tight. Progress was still slow. Ethan now had more responsibility at the warehouse. He helped organize schedules and train new workers. It was not a promotion, but it was a step forward. Still, months passed with no big reward. Some people would have quit. Some would have felt angry or disappointed. Étant chose patience. He reminded himself that growth was not a race. He stopped comparing himself to others. Instead, he focused on what he could control: effort, attitude, and learning. He continued saving money, even when it felt pointless. He continued reading, even when he felt tired. He continued improving small skills, even when no one noticed. One evening, a friend from his childhood visited him. The friend talked about quick money, risky ideas, and fast success. He invited Ethan to join him in a risky plan. The promise sounded exciting. Ethan listened carefully, but something inside him said no. He remembered how far he had come by taking small, safe steps. He knew that shortcuts often led to failure. He politely refused. That decision was difficult. For a moment, Ethan felt afraid. What if he missed his chance? What if patience was a mistake? But deep inside, he trusted his path. That night, he wrote in his notebook, "Fast success can disappear fast. Slow success stays." Weeks later, problems appeared in his friend's plan. Money was lost. Stress followed. Ethan felt relieved. Patience had protected him. This period taught Ethan a powerful lesson. Long-term success requires calm decisions and self-control. He was still far from his goal, but he was stronger than before, and his journey was far from over. Ethan did not notice the change at first. It happened slowly, like sunrise. One day, his supervisor called him into the office. Ethan felt nervous. He thought he had made a mistake. But this time, the conversation was different. The supervisor thanked him for his consistency, patience, and reliability. He said that Ethan had become someone the team depended on. For the first time, Ethan was offered a slightly better position. The pay increase was small. The title was not impressive. But to Ethan, it meant everything. It was proof. Proof that small steps mattered. Proof that patience was working. Ethan did not celebrate loudly. He did not tell many people. He simply went home, opened his notebook, and wrote one sentence: "Progress is real, even when it is quiet." With this small improvement, Ethan felt more confident. He started speaking more clearly. He shared ideas without fear. He stopped doubting every decision. Still, challenges remained. Some co-workers were jealous. They questioned his rise. They tried to test him. Ethan stayed calm. He focused on results, not opinions. Outside of work, Ethan started a new habit. Every weekend, he worked on a personal project. It was small and simple, but it allowed him to practice what he had learned. Many times, the project failed. Some weekends felt wasted. Some ideas were useless. But Ethan did not see this as failure. He saw it as training. He learned how to manage time. He learned how to solve problems alone. He learned how to stay patient when nothing worked. Slowly, Ethan began to trust himself. Not because he was successful, but because he kept going. This part of his journey taught him something powerful. Confidence is built through action, not words. He was no longer just surviving. He was growing. and even bigger challenges were waiting ahead. Just when Ethan started to feel stable, life tested him again. The warehouse faced serious problems. Orders dropped. Costs increased. Management became nervous. One morning, the supervisor gathered everyone and shared the bad news. Jobs will be cut. Fear filled the room. People whispered. Some were angry. Some were scared. Ethan felt his chest tighten. All his effort, all his patience. Could it disappear so easily? Days later, the decision came. Ethan was not fired, but his position was reduced. His responsibilities were limited. His pay returned to almost the same level as before. It felt like a step backward. That night, Ethan sat alone in his room. For the first time in years, he felt truly tired. He asked himself painful questions. Was all this effort worth it? Did patience fail me? For a moment, he wanted to quit everything. But then he opened his old notebook. Page after page showed his journey. Small wins, small lessons, quiet progress. He realized something important. Even if his position changed, he had changed. No one could take away his skills. No one could erase his discipline. No one could remove his mindset. The next day, Ethan returned to work with calm determination. He did his job well, without anger or bitterness. In the evenings, he focused more on his personal project. This time, with more seriousness. He improved it step by step. He tested, failed, fixed, and tried again. Progress was slow, but it was real. Ethan learned a deep lesson during the setback. True growth is not proven when life is easy. It is proven when life pushes back. He understood now. Patience is not passive. It is active strength. And this strength was preparing him for something bigger than he expected. Weeks passed after the setback. Life became quieter, but also more focused. Ethan stopped thinking about titles and positions. Instead, he focused on one simple question. What can I improve today? At work, he helped others even when it was not required. He fixed small problems before they became big ones. He listened more. He spoke less, but with purpose. Most people did not notice. But one person did. A new operations manager joined the warehouse. Her name was Ms. Carter. She watched everything carefully. She asked questions. She noticed patterns. One evening, she stopped near Ethan's station. I've seen your reports, she said calmly. They are clear. Who taught you this system? I taught myself, Ethan replied. She nodded. Good. Keep going. That was all. No pras. No pramis. But something changed. A few days later, Ethan was asked to help train a new worker. Then another. Soon, people started coming to him for advice. Not because of his position, but because of his ability. Ethan understood something important. Real influence does not come from authority. It comes from trust. At home, his personal project also grew stronger. He finally released a small version online. It was not perfect. It was not popular. But it worked. One message appeared in his inbox. Thank you. This helped me. That single sentence meant more to him than money. For the first time, Ethan felt aligned. His daily discipline matched his long-term purpose. One afternoon, Ms. Carter called him into her office. We need someone reliable, she said. Not fast, not loud, reliable. I think that might be you. Ethan did not smile. He did not celebrate. He simply said, I'm ready to learn. Inside, he knew this moment was not luck. It was built, slowly, quietly, patiently. And now a door was opening. The next Monday, Ethan's routine changed. Ms. Carter gave him new responsibilities. He was not promoted officially, but expectations were higher. He had to coordinate small teams, manage time, and solve problems quickly. At first, the pressure was heavy. People asked questions nonstop. Mistakes happened. One delivery was delayed, and a supervisor blamed Ethan. The old fear returned for a moment. But Ethan remembered his rule. Control what you can control. Instead of reacting emotionally, he analyzed the problem. He stayed late. He spoke calmly. He took responsibility without excuses. The next week, the same supervisor noticed something different. You handled that well, he said quietly. Ethan did not respond with pride. He responded with consistency. At home, life was still simple. He woke up early, exercised, studied, and worked on his project at night. There were days he felt tired. There were days he wanted to stop. But discipline carried him forward when motivation disappeared. One evening, Ethan almost quit his project. The progress was slow. The results were small. No applause. No big success. Then he remembered where he started. Nothing. No support. No money. No direction. Only patience. He continued. A few days later, more messages came. Then a small opportunity. A collaboration request. It was not big, but it was real. Ethan smiled for the first time in weeks. At work, Ms. Carter watched closely. She noticed how people followed Ethan naturally, how problems were solved faster when he was involved. One afternoon, she said, "Pressure shows who you really are. Some people break. Some people grow." Ethan understood that discipline was no longer just a habit. It had become his identity. He was no longer the man who started with nothing. He was the man who kept going when nothing happened. And soon, that quiet strength would be tested even more. The opportunity came suddenly. Ms. Carter called Ethan into her office on a Friday afternoon. Her tone was calm, but serious. "We are expanding a new department," she said. "It will require extra hours, leadership, and risk. The results are not guaranteed." Ethan listened carefully. "There will be pressure," she continued. "Some people will fail. Others will grow." She paused. "I want you to be part of it." Ethan's heart raced. This was not the success he dreamed about, but it was a door. A difficult door. At the same time, his personal project also demanded more attention. Messages increased. Expectations grew. Time became limited. That night, Ethan sat alone in his room. Two paths were in front of him. One was safe. Continue as he was. No extra risk. No extra stress. The other was uncertain. More responsibility. Less comfort. More chances to fail. Fear whispered, "What if you lose everything you built?" Discipline answered, "What if this is the reason you built it?" Ethan did not rush the decision. He wrote his thoughts. He reviewed his habits. He asked one question: which choice helps me become stronger, not just safer? The answer was clear. On Monday morning, he accepted Ms. Carter's offer. The first weeks were difficult. Mistakes increased. Sleep decreased. Some days felt overwhelming. But Ethan stayed consistent. He planned his time. He removed distractions. He protected his routines like they were gold. Slowly, something changed. Problems that once scared him now felt familiar. Pressure no longer controlled him. He controlled himself. One evening, while walking home, Ethan realized something powerful. He was no longer afraid of failing, because he trusted his discipline. And when a man trusts his discipline, fear loses its power. The final test was coming, and it would define everything. The final test did not come as a single moment. It came as many small moments. Early mornings when Ethan wanted to quit. Late nights when no one noticed his effort. Days when progress was invisible. The new department struggled at first. Deadlines were missed. Mistakes happened. So people gave up and left. Ethan stayed. He focused on what he could control: his actions, his attitude, his discipline. Instead of complaining, he learned. Instead of blaming others, he improved himself. Instead of waiting for motivation, he followed routine. Months passed. One morning, Ms. Carter called another meeting. This time, her face showed pride. "The department is now profitable," she said. And Ethan played a key role in this success. Applause filled the room. But Ethan felt something deeper than happiness. Peace. Because he knew the truth. This success was not luck. It was not talent. It was not a single big decision. It was thousands of small choices made daily. Later that evening, Ethan returned to his small room. The same room where everything started. Nothing had changed outside, but everything had changed inside. He understood now. Self-discipline is not punishment. It is freedom. Freedom from excuses. Freedom from fear. Freedom from the old version of yourself. Ethan smiled. He did not become rich overnight. He did not become famous. He became something more important. A man who could trust himself. And that was the real success. Because when you master self-discipline, life stops controlling you. You start controlling your life. The end.